Lately, my paycheck seems lighter than usual, slipping through my fingers like sand. Every evening, I find myself sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by bills and receipts, trying to make sense of where our money is vanishing. Anita, my wife, brushes off my concerns with a shrug, her voice smooth as silk. Darren, everything's just more expensive these days. We're not in the clear times anymore. We need to tighten our belts, that's all. I nod, though a nagging suspicion has started to take root in my mind. We've always lived comfortably, and my job as a regional sales manager used to more than suffice. Now, it's as if a silent thief is lurking in our midst, slowly drawing the life out of our finances. It's a chilly Thursday evening, and I'm late from work again. The aroma of roasted chicken fills the air as I step into our cozy, dimly lit dining room. Anita is already at the table, her phone cast aside, its screen still glowing. "How was work, hun?" she asks, as she sets my plate with a practiced smile. "Same old, but I had to deal with budget cuts and layoffs today," I reply, trying not to let the stress seep into my voice. We eat mostly in silence, the clinking of cutlery punctuating our quiet. After dinner, while Anita clears the table, I decide to tackle our burgeoning credit card bills. The numbers don't add up. Each month, chunks of money are dribbling away under vague categories like miscellaneous and urgent needs. As I'm about to confront Anita, she breezes into the room, a glass of wine in her hand. "Why don't you relax, Darren? Let's watch something. You've been so tense lately." I want to believe her, to let go of the creeping doubts, but something compels me to dig deeper. Maybe I'm just tired, or maybe it's the way her eyes dart away when I bring up finances. Tomorrow, I decide, I'll take a personal day. I need to follow this trail, invisible and yet palpable. I need to know where our life's earnings are truly going. That night, I lie awake long after Anita's breathing has deepened into sleep. The shadows in our room seem darker, the silence is louder. My heart feels heavy, burdened by a truth I am yet to uncover. But uncover it I will. I must. For the sake of our marriage, or perhaps, for the closure of its betrayal. As dawn breaks, my resolve hardens. Today will be the day I find out. Little do I know, the truth is more twisted and tangled than the lies we tell ourselves to sleep at night. The morning sun barely peeks through the curtains as I quietly slip out of bed. I'm determined to unravel the mystery of our vanishing funds. First, I plan a visit to the bank. Perhaps the clerks could shed some light on these enigmatic withdrawals. As I tiptoe down the hallway, avoiding the creaky third step that Anita always forgets to fix, I hear her phone buzz on the kitchen counter. My heart thumps louder with each step I take towards it. I tell myself I'm just going to see if it's something urgent. As I pick up her phone, I see a message light up the screen. "Remember, today's the last day. Don't disappoint me." The sender is not saved in her contacts, just a stark, unfamiliar number. I open the messaging app, my fingers trembling. Scrolling through, my eyes catch multiple transactions, threats cloaked in faux affection. Each message a piece of the puzzle I hadn't even realized was missing. Just then, I hear footsteps. It's too late to put the phone back. Anita appears at the kitchen doorway, her expression morphing from sleepiness to sharp alarm. "Darren, what are you doing with my phone?" It buzzed. I thought it was the alarm, I stammer, but her gaze hardens. "That's private, Darren," she snaps, snatching it from my hands. "I saw the messages, Anita." "Who's blackmailing you?" Her face pales, her lips quivering as she struggles for words. It's nothing. Just a misunderstanding with a supplier at work." I don't buy it. Suppliers don't ask for $1,000 by the end of the week, Anita. She collapses into a chair, burying her face in her hands. After a moment of heavy silence, she looks up, tears in her eyes. "Okay, it's not a supplier. It's someone I used to know. But please, Darren, it's not what you think. I think I deserve the truth." Her voice is barely a whisper when she finally speaks. "His name is Marco. We were involved years ago. He came back into my life, threatening to ruin everything if I didn't pay him. Why didn't you tell me? I thought I could handle it. I didn't want to hurt you. I'm about to respond when a knock interrupts us. At the door stands a tall, broad-shouldered man, his eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. Are you Darren? His voice is deep, demanding. Yes, who are you? The name's Jake. I'm a private investigator hired by a client concerned about your wife. Seems you're not the only one with suspicions. Anita gasps, her face draining of color. You hired someone to spy on me? No, I didn't hire him. I didn't even know about who. My voice trails off as I turn to Jake. Who hired you? I can't reveal that. But I can share what I found with both of you present. As we sit down, Jake lays out photos, bank statements, and a timeline of Anita's meetings with Marco. It's more than just a casual blackmail. The evidence suggests deep, ongoing deception. Why is someone else so interested in this? I ask, the question hanging heavy in the air. Jake pauses, then says, because Marco isn't just a threat to your family's finances. He's connected to larger crimes the client is tracking. The room spins as I process this. Betrayal, blackmail, and now, bigger dangers lurking in our seemingly quiet life. What have we gotten into? I need to think, I say, standing up abruptly. We all do. As Jake and Anita continue talking, I step outside, my mind racing. This is no longer just about a faltering marriage. It's bigger and more dangerous than I could have imagined. The stakes are higher, and now, I need to decide our next move. The cool breeze outside does little to calm my racing thoughts. The revelations inside feel like a bad dream, one I can't wake up from. After a few moments to gather myself, I head back in, determined to confront the full depth of this nightmare. Inside, Anita and Jake are poring over documents scattered across our dining table. Anita's eyes are red-rimmed, her usual composure shattered. Jake looks up as I enter, his expression unreadable. Darren, we need to talk strategy, Jake begins, sliding a folder toward me. Marco is more dangerous than Anita realized. He's linked to a series of financial scams across the state. Anita interjects, her voice shaky. I never knew about any scams, draining of color. Me, said he'd expose our past if I didn't pay. Which is exactly how he traps his victims, Jake explains. He uses personal leverage to entangle them in his schemes. I glance at the folder. It's a detailed report of Marco's activities, complete with dates and transactions. My eyes catch on a photograph of Marco handing an envelope to a well-dressed man in a dimly lit parking lot. How deep does this go? I ask, my voice hoarse. Deep enough that we need to be careful, Jake warns. He's not working alone. The man in the photo is a known associate, suspected of laundering money for illegal activities. Anita looks terrified. What are we going to do? We're going to set a trap, I say, the decision firm in my mind. We catch him in the act. Jake nods in approval. I can arrange for surveillance and backup. But we'll need bait. I'll be the bait, Anita says suddenly, all eyes turning to her. He trusts me. Or at least, he thinks he can manipulate me. No, it's too dangerous, I protest, but Anita holds up her hand. I need to do this, Darren. Not just for us, but to stop him from doing this to anyone else. Jake outlines the plan. We'll arrange a meeting under the guise of a final payoff, but instead of Anita going alone, Jake's team will be covertly backing her up. Every detail is meticulously planned, from the location to the escape routes. The next few hours are a blur of preparation. Jake brings in 2 more associates, tech-savvy professionals capable of setting up hidden cameras and tracking devices. We set the trap for the following day at a local park, a public place where Marco is less likely to suspect a setup. That night, Anita and I sit together, the strain of the past revelations hanging heavy between us. She reaches out, her hand trembling as it finds mine. Darren, I'm so sorry. For everything. I know, I reply, squeezing her hand. Let's just end this, once and for all. Sleep is elusive as I replay our plan over and over in my mind. The stakes are high, and the risk even higher. But there's no turning back now. We are committed to this course, come what may. Dawn breaks, casting a pale light over the quiet town. Today, everything changes. Today, we take back our lives. The day of the sting operation dawns clear and cool, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within me. As we drive to the park, Anita sits beside me, her body tense, eyes focused ahead. Jake and his team are in separate vehicles, ready to close in at a moment's notice. I say, early, the park mostly deserted except for a few early joggers and dog walkers. Jake meets us by our car, handing Anita a tiny earpiece and a hidden camera disguised as a button on her coat. Remember, everything you say and do will be monitored. Signal if things go sideways, Jake instructs, his tone steady but serious. Anita nods, her face set with resolve. Let's do this. She walks away, heading toward the designated meeting spot, a bench near the park's central fountain. I watch her go, my heart pounding in my chest. Jake claps a hand on my shoulder. She'll be fine. We've got eyes everywhere. Minutes crawl by like hours. Through the camera feed, I see Marco approach Anita. He's alone, casually dressed, but there's a hardness in his eyes that belies his relaxed demeanor. Anita, darling, Marco greets her, his voice oily. Ready to make things right? Anita forces a smile. Yes, I've got your money. As she speaks, Marco glances around nervously, unaware of the eyes watching him from every angle. Anita hands him an envelope, and as he takes it, Jake whispers into my earpiece, "Wait for my signal." Suddenly, Marco stiffens, his gaze locking onto something behind Anita. "Who did you bring with you?" he accuses, his voice rising. Before Anita can respond, Jake's voice crackles through the earpiece. "Move in now." Agents emerge from their hidden positions, closing in fast. Marco attempts to flee, dropping the envelope as he runs. He barely makes it a few steps before he's tackled to the ground. As the agents handcuff Marco, Jake and I rush over to Anita, who is shaking but unharmed. "It's over," Jake assures her, his expression relieved. But the operation isn't the only surprise of the day. As the police search Marco, they find not only the envelope but also a second, unmarked phone. After a quick inspection, an officer approaches me, a puzzled look on his face. "This phone, it's registered to you, Darren. Can you explain that?" My mind reels. "That's impossible," I stammer, but then a horrible thought dawns on me. I turn to Anita. "Is there something else I should know?" Her face crumbles, tears welling up. "I was scared to tell you. Marco threatened to reveal that he was once hired by you for a job years ago before things went sour. He thought you were setting him up." The truth hits me like a physical blow. My past dealings in the corporate espionage sector, long buried, had resurfaced in the most twisted way possible, tying both my wife and me to Marco, each unknowingly entangled in his schemes. As Marco is led away, Jake looks at me, his expression somber. "You two need to clear everything, leave no skeletons in your closet." The drive home is silent, heavy with the weight of revelations. Anita and I realize that honesty is the only path forward if we are to rebuild our trust and our future. Weeks pass, and life starts to settle into a new normal. Anita and I attend counseling, working through our deceptions and the shadows of our past. Marco, linked to broader criminal activities, faces a lengthy sentence. The park where everything unfolded becomes a place we visit often, a reminder of our second chance. In a life marked by deception and intrigue, the clarity of truth becomes our guiding light, leading us out of darkness toward a hopeful, honest future.